altogether, he said that would be around $269,000, which isn't bad for 3 buildings. I mean, that's not a bad cost, but we don't have a dime to our name. So, I don't think that's going to be feasible at this moment. But he did say if we're looking at trying to buy maybe later doing a homeless shelter, he said that it would have some septic problems, and he thought the septic tank was underneath the parking lot, and he's looking at maybe $20,000 to $50,000 fix. So there would be some issues with that. But I told him, at that price, there's no way right now we could afford that. But they do have it listed with Russ Swaney, realtor is who it's with. But he said we were welcome to come down and tour it, look at it, and then go from there. But I said, at this moment we don't have any money. But I did want to reach out and see what he wanted for the buildings. Like I said, Randy Johnson, very open to having in-person meetings at their life center. He said social distance, so we can, at the end of the meeting tonight, I'd like for us to plan what dates would work. We will create a letter, and then we'll send that out, hand deliver some of them, mail them, whatever we got to do to pastors in our area to try to get them there that night. Or if they can't come, we'll even say they could have a designee from their church come and represent the church, so they could take that information back to the church. So that won't be a problem. As far as filing the paperwork, I feel like if we're going to go with Carter Compassion Center, and I see Brother Ricky Jones is connecting, that's great. And Brother Ricky can share his, I'll get him to share his logo if we can get Abby to let him share his screen in a moment. But I feel like the first thing we're going to need to do is start working on the paperwork to create a 501c3 nonprofit. And, it's not that difficult to do. I mean, we did one at the school, Helping Highlander Ministry, and I filled out the paperwork, and we get your EIN number, and we start that process. Then you've actually got that entity. You've got a board. We set up our bylaws, a mission statement, and we get that part of this thing rolling. Because if we want to fundraise, we're going to have this thing go ahead and have the paperwork completed, and actually be a nonprofit if we're going to ask churches to start giving. So I think that's something that's going to have to be done in the near future. Is we need to start working. It would be wonderful to have a lawyer in that process, and I didn't know someone knew one that might be willing to donate their time or effort or energy to help us do that. It's always great to have someone like that on board. Yeah. So I didn't know if anybody knew somebody that'd be willing to help us with that.
Well, I can certainly reach out to Josh Harden, since this is a city county. He and Day can probably get together and offer us some suggestions. So I'll send Josh an email tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Because I think if we get the paperwork filed and we can get that sent off to the IRS, then we become legitimate. We become a 501c3, and then we start fundraising and pulling the funds together to either rent a space. I mean, I think we could rent a space to open it up for the time being. And I did reach out to, I don't know if you guys know them, the Miller brothers that own the, here on 19E, right below my church. Before you get to Hampton High School, there's a big row of white metal buildings there. Yes. Yeah. Okay. They own those. They go to Hampton Christian Church. And I called Floyd and I said, would that ever be willing to, it has electricity, they have water, they have septic. Would you be willing to rent us a space at a very reasonable price? He said, let me speak with my brother and get back with you. He said, but I don't see a problem with it. Now, I've not heard back from him. I tried to call him today and I didn't get a hold of him. So if it's just to hang out a sign that has our logo on it, and start something small like that for the time being, a physical address, we can start bringing money in. That's a start. But I think we're going to have a start somewhere. And I think I know that's the hard part, is getting that first initial start, but we've got to get the paperwork filed and we've got to have a place to do this, to start. And that doesn't mean it's going to be permanently there, but at least a place to, and here's my thinking. I would prefer it not to be attached to a church. And the reason I say that, we've got faith-based and non-faith-based coming together to do this Compassion Center. And if it's hooked to a church, that hinders a lot of non-faith-based organizations from being a part. So I want it to be myself. I feel like we all need to work together, faith-based, non-faith-based, and we need to come together. And that's my thinking. And I also know that also hinders funding sometimes. When it's actually in a church, there's some grants and things you can't apply for.
Right.
So, so that is that. So to try to find a physical place later, I think our first step is to follow the paperwork, get that started. Ricky, it's good to see you. And I was telling them that you've been gracious enough to create a logo. And if Abby can allow you to share your screen, if you can pull that logo up, I would like for them to see what you've created if you're able to do that for us. Can you share your screen with us? And Abby, could you help him to do that? I'm not hearing her. Can you hear me, Ricky? I think you've got yourself muted. There you go.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Have you got the logo nearby so they can kind of see what you've created?
Yeah.
I think it's it's exceptional logo, and like when we were talking about it, it's nothing to do faith-based. It hasn't, it's but it does look very great. So I think, once we start having letterhead and things with our logo on there to start fundraising, it's going to be very beneficial.
Bringing it up on my computer now.
Okay. Does anybody know anything about nonprofits? Have they spoke to any nonprofits about this or what their ideas going forward is? I mean, I spoke to lots of pastors that are interested, but I don't have that connection with a lot of nonprofits. Has anybody spoke to any nonprofits and kind of shared this idea? There you go, guys. There's the logo.
There it is. Wow.
So you've got the three hearts, which are three people binding together for the Carter Compassion Center. And I just think it's a phenomenal logo.
Yeah.
Everybody see that and like that.
Yeah. That's very nice, Ricky. Thanks.
I can't see it, Brandon.
You can't see it. It's on his square. You may have to go to view, and then you may have to go to where you can see everybody's square.
Okay, yeah.
There you go. There you go.
That looks good.
I think it's a beautiful logo. We could, later get some shirts. When we start advertising, I think that'd be a very nice logo. So I love the idea of the hearts and the people, a consolidated approach to compassion. I think that's what it is. It's a consolidated approach to compassion. We're going to combine our resources in Carter County to help those in need. That's sort of our mission statement, a consolidated approach to compassion.
Yeah.
And rather than have all these disjointed, we're working together to get these folks the help that they need and deserve. Anybody got a question about the logo? They like the logo. We can change the colors up. Me and him's talked about, I know it's when you have a lot of colors, you have more money when you make t-shirts. We could do all the hearts in one color. I mean, I get it. But we can work on colors, but I do like the three colors as well. But we always could do a one solid color. But any questions about the logo? Anybody that want to speak about nonprofits? Have you spoke to any nonprofits? I don't see Crystal on here tonight, so she may not have made the meeting. So I know that she's going to speak to some nonprofits. Yeah. Mayor Woodby, have you spoke to any nonprofits this past week, or kind of just in passing?
No, Brandon, I haven't had a chance to.
Okay. I just wondered. Like I said, all the pastors that I spoke with are very excited about it. I'm hoping that nonprofits get excited about it and they see this as an avenue to hopefully connect people with their services. Not really, we're not creating something completely new, but it's more of a liaison between them and their clientele. As I think about this, if we can get the paperwork filed and we start fundraising, when we get to the place where we have a physical location and a person to direct it, that person needs to have extensive knowledge of the resources within our county. They need to have a real knowledge of what resources are out there, what they do, how to access them, because I think that person is really going to spearhead this thing. So I guess later on, who we get to facilitate this is going to be really important. Now, I don't know what that budget look like, what we can pay that person, or how that's going to work right now. But I think first things first is just getting the paperwork filed and start getting people on board and raising funds from our churches and go ahead and opening up a bank account, whether at Carter County Bank or Citizens or Northeast Community Credit Union, somewhere to go ahead and start putting our funds in an account.
Well, we also have a designated account with the county.
Okay.
That the commission approved several months ago. That, as I understand from Attorney Harden, obviously funds can be given to that entity, can be held, but anything expended has to go for designated homeless. That's how we set it up when we started this. So if we find a donor that can't wait to donate to a 501c3, they can donate to the county, and then I presume I'll talk with Brad Burke, but would follow that could follow maybe to the homeless efforts underneath the umbrella.
Okay, so if they give, we just have to make them write on the check, homeless task force, and they would know what.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brad will know that. Brad Burke will know that.
Okay. So that's good to know too. So I guess the next step that I see is if we can talk to the lawyer, work on the paperwork, we need to get together and create that mission statement completely. You've got to have a board, and I think we've got the makings here of a board. Those that want to be a part of that, and then send that off to the IRS, get our paperwork back that we can be legit. Then we look for a place to rent, a place to have a physical address. I think that's our next steps. Anybody got anything to add to that, or anything that comes to mind?
No, I think too, to adequately fundraise, we will need the 501c3 designation.
I agree. I think we need to do. I think that's really the reason I want to meet with pastors the next little bit, is to tell them what we're doing and say we're following the paperwork for a 501c3. This is what the purpose of the 501c3 is. This is what it's going to do within our county. Would you be willing, whether it's to write it into your budget, support us in some form or fashion? Right. And I'll be glad to host that meeting down at Valley Forge, and we can do that. But I think that conversation also has to be maybe a little different with the nonprofits, but we have to have a conversation with our nonprofits to say, this is not something that's going to take away from you, but hopefully make the process easier for people to access your resource. Yeah. I guess I'm more concerned about nonprofits than churches. I think I can get quite a few churches on board. I'm not that familiar with nonprofits, so to have someone that is, I think would be wonderful.
Right. Well, although I'll have to take it to the board of the Boys and Girls Club, it fits partly our mission in helping kids. And I can do, in fact, Jenny Wright and I have a regular monthly or weekly meeting. I'll be down there first part of the week. We'll talk a little bit more about this and how we can send our clients, particularly their guardians or parents who we find need this type of help, drive them towards the Alliance. So I think for us, it'll be a great resource to refer people to.
Okay, I agree. So I'm going to create a letter in the next few days with that logo on it, stating what we're planning to do. I'm going to get that out to pastors. We're going to plan a meeting at the end of February, 1st of March. We can look here at the calendar in just a moment. I want them to have plenty of time to plan to come to this meeting or send a designee to do that. Then I've talked with once we, and I'll be glad, Dr. Acuff, to meet anytime with the lawyer for us to sit down and start filling out this paperwork.
Right.
Anytime he's willing to do it, if he is willing.
I do know that even though I reach out to Josh, he knows his limits on 501c3s, but he can give us, I think he can give us some guidance.
Okay.
And since, as I said, it's a joint task force between the city and county, I think he or Attorney Day, the attorney for the city, would probably give us some direction.
Okay. So I'm willing to meet with him anytime to get that. Once we get that paperwork filed, and I would love to do a publicity campaign once it's been filed, once it's been created. I would be glad, and Ricky said he would. He's got the capabilities to do this. We create some videos, some just like a commercial of sorts on social media saying the Carter Compassion Center, this is what it's for, this is what we're doing. I think we got to get the word out to our community. Go on the radio, whatever it takes, maybe get an interview with WCYB, WJHL. I want them to know what we're doing in Carter County, and what this, and let them know this is a transitional piece that one day we hope will evolve into a Carter County homeless shelter and program, So first things first, we got to work on getting the paperwork. I'll send out the letter to the pastors. Are there anything else that needs to be addressed tonight that you think would be beneficial?
We might want to think too, Brandon, we've got at least 2 electronic billboards in Carter County. One's across the street from Food City as you head up towards Stony Creek. And the other one is in right across from Grindstaff's operation there. It would be nice for us to check out, and I've forgotten how much they charge and how many flips you get during the course of so many minutes, but that might be an eye catcher using the logo and get it, just not saying anything about it, but let people start asking questions. Well, what is this?
Right.
It might generate some interest.
I think so too. I agree. I thought that too. And I think once I talk to these pastors and we get some income coming in, I would assume to open up the account, we're going to have the 501c3 status. That's the way we did it when we did the Helping Highlander Ministry. I filled out the paperwork, sent it off. We got it back, the EIN number, and then I went to Northeast and opened up an account. And the churches of Rome Mountain and areas started putting the money in the account, and then we use it to help kids within the Rome Mountain area. Anyway, I think we got to get the paperwork, and then when we get that money in that account to purchase those billboards, whatever we need to do, unless a church would be willing now to go ahead and say, well, we'll go ahead and pay for the billboard. You got the logo. We'll just write a check to the company and we'll pay it straight out of our account. And maybe some church at that meeting would be willing to do that, would be willing to advertise. I mean, I'm sure even my church at Harmony would be willing to give towards it. But does anybody else have anything besides us creating a date to meet with pastors? And everybody's welcome to attend. All of you that's a part of this committee is welcome to attend that night that we can answer. Yeah, I have an outline as far as what we want the Carter Compassion Center to be. Yes.
Okay.
So I've
That'll
got
probably be
that.
the first thing people start wanting to know when they start asking questions.
Yes.
Where
So
you want to go with it specifically.
And I think we're going to get them to understand we're going to have to start small, and it may be whether it's an office space that they meet with 1 or 2 people in there. But later I'd like to see a facility where there's a laundry facility and they can come in and maybe they get food and they can wash their clothes. And, I think the sky's the limit. Have a rural health clinic, dental clinic. I mean, I think a space where you can host those things. But if we just start small I think we can build up to that. So I want them to understand we just got to get that ball to rolling. We talked about in that last meeting, that snowball, we got to get it going down the hill. But yes, Julie, I do have I'm going to map all that out. I was going to create a PowerPoint. So when we get out there in that center, they've got a projector. We'll put it up there and say, this is what we're wanting the Carter Compassion Center to do within Carter County. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Brandon, I know you and I talked, when did we talk? Last week?
Yes.
To add into that, we discussed about something that's, I think, is going to be coming to the forefront as these kids, if not already happening, as they begin to go back to school. Something that I'm concerned about is the mental health of our teenagers right now in the community. There seems to be a high rise in some of our local doctors getting them to therapists and type situation. Those numbers are rising, and they're rising in Carter County.
Yes.
So that's something else I'd like to consider as we go through this process, a resource for our young adults to have a place where they know they can maybe go and find some guidance to talk to somebody, or, get some of the help that they're looking for. I think that's getting ready to be a big concern for us.
Oh, I agree. So I think mental health needs to play a part in it. So you've got your, public health, mental health. I agree. I think when these kids come in there, we need to be able to get them the help that they need to be progressive and to move forward. I was even thinking last week, I think you and I were talking about the mental health. I talked to some veterans, and there was some veterans saying, are you going to do anything with the Carter Compassion Center with veterans?
Yeah.
I think we could. They told me that they have been waiting months to try to get a dental appointment through the VA. Now, I don't know this. I'm not a veteran, but he said you can't get an appointment to even get your teeth cleaned at the VA. There's just so many on the waiting list. So I was like, wow, when all these veterans in our county, I think the Carter Compassion Center is for all people of all ages that are struggling and don't have the money to do what they need to do. So I think the sky's the limit when it comes to that. So veterans, young people, families, single folks that are the working poor, we talked about that population. I think we need to do everything we can to help these folks. So, but does anybody else have anything to add? Anything at all? If we could look at our calendars so we're looking at, we got 2 weeks to the end of the month, and I don't know if that's the best time to meet, or we'll go ahead and push it into March. What would you say about the first week in March, and what day do you think would be best for pastors to meet? I know obviously not Sunday or Wednesday. They're already very, very busy. So would a Monday, would that be a better time to meet with less things going on?
I'm okay with that. I think that's a good day.
So if we said like Monday, March the 1st, and I'll check with Randy to make sure that date is open for the Life Center there. And let's say if that date's not open, let's look at the 8th. So I'll say either the 1st or the 8th, and we will ask Randy which one of those will work best for Valley Forge.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That'll work.
Okay. And would you say 6 o'clock in the evening is a good time?
Yeah.
Or 7?
We'll also have to check the county calendar.
Okay.
And see
Isn't
which
that when,
committees
is that
are-
when budget comes on?
I think budget comes up that Monday, the 8th, does it not, Mayor?
Right. Correct.
That's
It's
what
the
I
second-
thought too.
So would
It's
you
the
want me to say,
second Monday.
like, how about 1 and 15 then as a backup date? Say
March
and
the
then let's look
1st will be education and landfill committees, and the 15th is the full commission.
Okay. So would you want to push it out further, or do you want to try to hit it in
Well,
February?
when we
What
get to
about
the first,
Thursday? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Patty.
no, it's fine. When we get to the first of the month, that is usually when all the committee meetings start beginning, and Mondays and Tuesdays are usually not
Okay.
good.
Okay, so what about Thursday the 4th? Does that look like a good day?
Highway committee meeting is
Highway
that evening.
committee, yeah, highway committee,
Okay.
Maybe Thursday, the
the
Thursday,
11th.
the 11th.
The
Okay.
problem with that is that our city council member, Mike Simmerly, wouldn't be able to get to the meeting if he wanted to attend because city council meets that night. Remember, they meet the second, I believe it's the second Thursday of each month.
Okay.
Is
I know
there
most
any
people don't
chance of a
like,
Saturday, or is that going to
Right,
interrupt
say-
everybody's weekend schedule?
right. I was wondering, say Friday or Saturday. I know we don't like weekend meetings, but now Friday evening, would a Friday evening be okay? Like the 5th or the 12th?
That's fine with me.
I mean, I don't care to meet on a Friday. Friday's
I
just
don't,
another.
I don't mind to meet on a Friday either.
Okay.
Friday's
How about
fine.
why don't we say 5th or in 12th? And I'll let Randy tell us which one of those days works best for Valley Forge. And then I'll go ahead and draft that letter up and send it out to the pastors. And and then I'll let you guys know. And we could meet back. I mean, we can meet back here on Zoom before we do this, and I can show you the PowerPoint or whatever. I can go ahead and create the PowerPoint, let you guys be familiar with it, see where I'm going. If you think I need to tweak anything, change anything, I can get with Ricky and me and him can sit down and create the PowerPoint together. He's been a great help. Would that be okay, Ricky?
Yeah, that's fine. I can help you do that.
So I mean, you could create the PowerPoint, have it ready, show you all what we're going to show the pastors. If you need us to change anything or add anything, we can make those changes, and then we'll roll it out either on the 5th or the 12th. Does that sound good to you guys?
I think that'll work.
Okay. Well, why don't we plan another Zoom meeting before that where we can show you the PowerPoint? And so why don't we look that last week of February? Which one of those days would work for you on the week of the 21st? Anybody have a preference? Thursday the 25th. Are y'all busy then?
I think that's okay. I mean, we should be far afield of commission meetings
Yeah.
and council meetings.
I'm good with the 25th.
Let's shoot for the 25th at 6, and that'll give me and Pastor Ricky there 2 weeks from today to create a PowerPoint that we would roll out to the pastors. And I
We
want you all
might be
to.
able to even come up with that quick 2-minute video to give them something to hold on to.
Yes, we can do that too.
Right.
And we can show you that. We can show you the PowerPoint and the video over Zoom on the 25th. Does that sound good to you guys?
That'll be great, Brandon.
Okay,
Right.
well, we'll do that. And Dr. Acuff, if you can talk to the lawyers.
I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay, and then we'll try to get this paperwork filed as soon as possible. And I think the ball starts rolling. So.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah,
You're
thank you
welcome.
for your
I'm
leadership,
excited.
Brandon.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm just excited about it, and I can't wait to see what God has in store for Carter County.
Me too.
Me too.
I'd like to see it imitated in other counties across our area. Wouldn't it be great to start something that's emulated by
Yeah.
Sullivan and Johnson County? I would love to see that.
Well,
Washington County.
that's almost like I said to you, I go back to the Isaiah 117 house. I mean, look at
Yeah.
what such a phenomenal, what she's done. I mean, it just started here and it's moving across the country.
I totally agree. And if they see us as a unified force, nonprofits coming together with churches, working together to help our community, if they can see unity there, I think it spreads. And so that's why I want you guys to be at the pastor meeting. So it's just not one pastor sharing with other pastors, but it's also our local politicians. It's people that are stakeholders that are invested in our community. So, but thank you guys for being a part of this. And so I plan on seeing you guys on the 25th at 6 o'clock, and we'll have you some information to look at that evening. Abby, do we need to get that information to you and you share it from your computer, or do we share it from ours? What will be easiest?
can set it up to where you guys can share it from yours, or if you want me to, just email it to me and I'll share it from mine.
Okay. So once we get the PowerPoint made and the video made, I may just shoot that to you. And then you can go ahead and just put it on the screen once we start meeting that night and we can look at it. And then we make changes. We'll write down what we need to change and we'll go back and change anything that needs changing. So.
Hey, Brandon, was I supposed to reach out to Tom Hobson, Elizabeth, and?
Yeah, I think that's what you'd said earlier.
Okay, all right. I wanted to make sure. I'll call him tomorrow morning.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Had a few things going on here lately.
I understand. It's a busy time, but thank you guys so much for being here tonight. And I guess we'll look forward to seeing you on the 25th. And Pastor Ricky, I'll be in touch.
Okay. Thanks, Abby,
Thanks.
for setting us up. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Abby.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good
Have a
evening.
great night.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.